So today we shall take a look at some of the doctrines of Sikhism. Okay, and basically we'll be taking a look at what is their concept of God, how do they view the universe, what are the 5 Ks which we see, and other concepts about how they generally go about with their rituals and practices. So first let's take a look on the views on the nature of man and universe. So now we see that their views on man and the universe are in a way very much connected with both the philosophical as well as the religious traditions which they have inherited from Hinduism. And here especially we take a look at Samsara, that is the cycle of birth, rebirth, death, and karma. Okay, that is cause and effect. So we see that apart from this, Sikhism also will introduce some unique perspectives. Okay, some perspectives which are truly of its own with regards to man. Okay, so you have the unique perspective on man, his purpose in the universe, and also path to liberation. Okay, so and therefore in this way, first and foremost, we need to take a look at what is the nature of the universe and the cosmos. So first and foremost, we see that Sikhism in a way largely takes or largely accepts Hindu cosmological ideas. But also at the same time, when it comes to the creation, when it comes to the origin, okay, when it comes to the origin of the cosmos, it does hold a different perspective in the sense that it says that creation is divine. So the Sikh texts, okay, particularly the Guru Granth Sahib, so they describe universe created by one supreme reality. Okay, and that is the Vaheguru through his will or command. That means the whole universe came into being because of the divine will, because of the divine command of the one supreme reality who they refer to as the Vaheguru. Later on we will see that there are also other names by which the one reality of God is expressed. and therefore they believe that everything in the universe comes from this command. So the universe, which is vast, which cannot be understood, it functions according to divine law. And therefore, Guru Nanak emphasizes the whole universe as a divine play. Which is created out of nothingness and sustained by the will of God. Now, in a play, what do we see? What is the fundamental aspect of any play? So, you see the plot is there, then you have the story is there, but who are the main important actors and the director? So therefore we see that in the universe also, whatever happens is by this divine will of God. Okay, it is by this divine plan, and everything unfolds according to this. So therefore it is said that the universe comes out of nothingness, in the sense before that there is nothing. With the command of God you have the whole creation, and therefore whatever becomes, whatever takes place, the changes that goes on is because of this divine will. Now the creation is not a singular process, but it is a continuous process, as He is both the creator as well as sustainer of life. Okay, so God, or the supreme reality in this case, is both the creator as well as the sustainer. They also take a look at the cyclic nature of time. Okay, so in the sense, so what do we understand by cyclic nature? Okay, so one leads to another, and then again you come to the something that is the starting point. So here also, when we speak about cyclic nature of time, similar to what we find in Hinduism, Sikhism also believes that in the universe there is a cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth. It's created, then after many years, many thousands of years, destruction takes place, and then again there is a renewal or a rebirth. And therefore each cycle is based on the will of God. So that means, just as the director of the play will say, now at this particular point this actor or this lead will be discontinued, this will be introduced. Similarly here we see that based on the divine will, on the divine command, the cycle either begins or ends. And you also have the concept of kalpas, in Hinduism. And this is similar to that. So, though the universe undergoes changes, does God also undergo change based on what we have seen so far in Sikhism? No. Okay, so even though the universe changes, even though there are these different cycles of creation, destruction and rebirth, God remains eternal, unchanging and beyond space and time. So for them, God is beyond space and time. Okay, so here basically two things we need to understand. First is everything is based on the divine command, divine will of God. So before that there is nothing. God creates through His will, and therefore everything, whatever happens, whether it is the creation, whether it is sustenance of the universe, is based on the command of God. And then you also have the cyclic nature, that is the cycle of creation, destruction and revival or rebirth, which again is based on God's will. Then this is something that we have already seen in other religions as well, and here also we have the same principles of samsara and karma. Okay, so what does samsara mean? Cycle of? Okay, so you have cycle of birth, death, rebirth. Okay, and therefore who is bound by this cycle? Okay, so all living beings, good. So including humans are in a way bound by this. And is there an escape from this cycle? How? Okay, so what we have seen in the other religions is basically through enlightenment, meditation, etc. Here also we see that one is able to escape this cycle by achieving mukti or liberation, and there are various ways how this can be achieved through nam japas, by meditation, etc., which we'll take a look a little later. So in this way we see that it is possible for every soul to escape, and the ultimate goal of every soul is to escape this cycle of birth, death and rebirth. We'll come to that. See, there is a stage they have to, it is only by becoming humans can they attain liberation. The reasons for that will come in the following this thing. But yes, they, as we have seen also in Jainism, right? So they become human and then they are able to attain liberation. The reasons are given. So next we see karma. What is karma? So kind of consequences for the actions. So now, is karma the only determinant of your fate? Okay, based on what we have seen in the other two religions, is karma the only factor that decides your fate, or is there something else? Okay, effort is there, and of course we see that in Jainism the karmic particles kind of cloud the soul, which is not able to then achieve its fulfill its perfections, etc. Now, in Sikhism, we see that there is an interesting kind of a twist to this concept. It is not the only determinant, which means that karma alone doesn't decide your fate. There is also the concept of the grace of God, which they call as nadar, or in simple words we can say the God's kind of viewing you, or God seeing you, the grace of God. So, so we see that while deeds are important, okay, performing good deeds is very important, okay, righteous living is very essential, but ultimately this is very important, which also kind of makes a distinction to the other religions that we have seen. Okay, so though right living is important, good deeds are important, we see that liberation is gift of Vaheguru or God. And most importantly, liberation can't be obtained by one's effort. Okay, that means you still have to put in the effort, but ultimately it is this grace of God that is, it's like a gift from God, the whole concept of liberation. And therefore, though we see that the course of the cycle of birth, rebirth, in a way still continues to be determined by karma, the whole aspect of liberation, when a person is supposed to break free from this cycle, depends on God's mercy. Okay, so here we see that ultimately it is God's mercy which is important. Okay, so you have your individual effort which is required, but at the same time that cannot be, you cannot eliminate the mercy of God, you cannot eliminate the grace of God, because ultimately it is the grace, it is the mercy that leads you to liberation. No. Effort should be there, your effort should be there, and then the grace. So you cannot only depend on the grace. It is similar to ours also, right? Where you have to do you have to follow the commands, the values, and the same time ultimately you have to depend on the grace. So you are not kind of the whole independent in yourself in that way. It's a reality, kind of a supreme, we could, No, he's free, right? He's out of this whole, he is not bound by space, he is not bound by time, okay? Yeah, see, in the last two religions what we have seen, it has been like this, that it is the human person who has actually gone through the whole liberative process, and then achieve that liberation and in a way revered as God. Here what happens we see is that the whole they borrow also from Islam as well as from Hinduism. So therefore you have the idea that there is one reality that is existing, something that is commanding everything. So in a way you may be liberated, you may come out of the cycle, but ultimately that is a completely different realm there. So in a way everybody, like Jainism, where anybody can become God, here it is different. It is not the same as that. No. We can compare to that because we see that Sikhism borrows a lot from Hindu tradition and Hindu philosophy. So in that way we can speak of that Purusha and Supreme Purusha. Okay, when we come to the nature of man, first and foremost, as we have seen in the lives of the Gurus, as we have seen through their actions, they believe in the equality not only of all people but also of all beings. That means of all creatures in the cosmos. And therefore, human beings are just part of the cosmos. Okay? Therefore, there is no being is superior to the other. And therefore, all forms of life connected through samsara. But there is a slight distinction over here. Even though everything is equal, human life is considered unique. So when we look at equality, we see that all have right to live, all have right to use the resources of nature, all have right of existence, all have the right to also be part of this cycle of samsara. But human life here is unique. And why is it unique? Why is human life unique? Okay, rational being, and in the sense okay, so we see that unique because one thing is rational, secondly, humans have the rare opportunity for spiritual awakening. So, being human in this way is a gift of God, because it is only by being human that one can achieve liberation. Okay, so that is why we see that it is only humans who can meditate, who can reflect on the actions, okay, Okay, so we see that it is only by becoming human can liberation be achieved. Therefore, being born as a human is considered to be a gift from God. Now, we come to this whole aspect of uniqueness. Okay, human beings are unique because of sentience and consciousness. That means they are able to be self aware. Okay, and this gives them, now by being self aware, what happens to us? When you are aware of yourself, what is the benefit of it? Okay, so you know what is good, what is bad. Anything else? Okay, you can control. Now let's go to this whole concept of examine. Okay, now exactly what happens in the examine? Reflection is there, awareness is there. Anything else? Introspection, right? So you look at what you have done the whole day or half day. Now, when you see that, when we become aware of our actions, when we know what we are doing, only then we see that there is possibility for change. Why? Because we are able to morally as well as spiritually reflect on our actions. Now here we see that animals, it is widely accepted, or there is a general consensus that how do animals act? Instinct. Okay. So we see that animals act on instinct, whether it may be a survival instinct or whether it may be an instinct that comes naturally. Now, do humans have instincts? Yes. But we see that apart from instincts, humans also have the ability to think, discern, and make conscious choices. So in the sense, you know what you are doing and therefore you are fully aware of what you have done. So that means whatever you are now is a consequence of a choice taken in the recent past or the remote past. Therefore, you have the ability to think. You could have chosen between yes or no or some other choice. But we see that whatever you are now is a result of that choice. Animals, on the other hand, it is believed that they don't have this decision or this conscious choice making ability.